one Edwin Sifuna. Sankara, welcome again. I want to begin this conversation with the constitution of the IEBC. What does the constitution say in terms of reconstituting this particular commission?
Well, you know, the term of the Cherera 4 ended prematurely based on the accusations that were leveled against them. A judicial inquiry was set in place that actually did not vindicate them, but found the Masit commissioner culpable of those offenses that were leveled against them. But we find, for me, you know, I would speak my mind openly because, by the way, for your information, this Kenya Kwanza is not a new phenomenon to me. I was Mudavadi's youth leader. I have worked with the President, William Ruto, in person. So I know these people categorically and their politics, which is quite dirty. The process itself wasn't clear. The timing, you know, you may be pursuing a good objective, but the timing of that particular activity will either elevate you or bring you down from a particular position. So the reconstitution of IBC requires the involvement of the Public Service Commission, the Parliament, the clergy, political parties. But where I only have a particular point to raise, where the contention rises between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, is that Raila is saying that William Ruto is doing away with important partners when such important constitutional processes are being undertaken. But my thinking is, when the president insists that all the constitutional provisions as far as IBC reconstitution is concerned has been followed, whereas we understand that the involvement of political party representation is very key, but what if the president just involved the ruling coalition parties and sidelined the opposition or the ODM-led commission? That automatically raises eyebrows, and I think that's why the opposition is so much concerned. Because for your information, in as much as we've held various presidential elections peaceful, we've never had an independent functional IBC. That is my Sankara's opinion. I would tell you for a fact, I am not a foreigner, I am a bona fide resident of the Republic of Kenya, a patriotic citizen in that case. I have interacted with IBC since my first voting in 2017, where most of us developed the complacent attitude when it comes to voting because of the inconsistency, lack of transparency and accountability in the electoral management system.
Now, you are talking about the representation of the political parties. We do know that the selection panel has 7 members, and there's one representative from the political parties liaison committee, that is Evans Misati James. There's Bethel Sigrid from the PSC, and as well Novice Aurelia Atieno from the PSC, as well as Charity Kisotu. Now, the Law Society of Kenya nominated Benson Ngugi Njeri. The Interreligious Commission or Council of Kenya nominated Fatuma Saman and Nelson Makanda from the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya. Every time we're going to the elections, there's always the debate about whether IEBC will conduct a free and fair election. Do you think, in your opinion, as a Kenyan, that there will come a time where elections will be done and all the parties will be satisfied with the outcome without condemning the electoral body?
That will happen because the 2010 Constitution states that the sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. That is Article 1, Chapter 1 of the 2010 Constitution. There shall come a time that the sovereign power of the people shall prevail over the power of a powerful clique, what I call state capture enablers. There shall come a time, and it's not too long, very soon we will go into an election where the people's power shall prevail over those particular individuals that have been placed in place to oversee the smooth running of the process. Actually, in an election, the key role of an election body is to oversee. It is very critical, not to decide for the people. It is to oversee the smooth running of an electoral process that will translate the democratic right of the people of Kenya or of a particular region into action. So there shall come a time, I believe we will wake up one day, go to ballot, cast our vote, and the voices shall count.
Now, Raila Odinga claims, and of course the Azimio coalition, allied political leaders, that the process must be stopped. Now, what exactly do you guys want to be addressed? Because at the end of the day, yesterday President William Ruto, and we'll give your sentiments and then we'll watch that particular clip, he said he followed the law and he cannot bend the law to suit Raila Odinga's wishes.
William Ruto, the president, should be informed that in as much as he is the president, the votes he got in the previous election is not that much compared to what Raila Odinga got. Actually, Ruto has half of the country, Raila has half of the country. That is the reality and the truth no one will dare tell you. And I'm telling you here that Raila has half of the country, Ruto has half of the country. For the best interest of the majority, it only requires wisdom to sit, dialogue and negotiate. Raila do not want IBC to be composed by putting Winnie Odinga in that IBC. No, he wants a fair representation of the political fraternity. I asked you a simple question, or I told you a simple statement, that in as much as the president is claiming he followed the law, he may have used the veto powers vested on him as the president to bulldoze the entire process and claim at the end of the day that my role was only to gazette them. Who knows? So Raila Odinga is not a mad person. When he insists that we should at least stop, he's not saying, please stop and put so and so. He's saying, stop so that we do it afresh in a transparent manner. The hurriedly constitution of the panel that will select the IBC actually should worry every Kenyan. That is the log in the eye Raila is trying to point out, but because we are ethnically, politically polarized nation, we always politicize everything. Politics started playing heavily in Kenya in 2003. Since then till to date, we've never taken a break from politics. We do elections, we swear in the president. Next month, it seems like we are just headed into another new presidential election. See what is happening today. The political tensions in the country is actually high, but the people who are allied to the head of state will not like to tell the king the truth, that things are not right down there. They are telling the king, the ship is well, okay, the voyage must continue. We are not going to stop anyway. The recent, or the over and over pronouncements of the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, when it comes to power sharing deal and etc., we will come into that. But that tells you that no one is willing to tell William Ruto that, Mr. President, this is the accurate position of everything currently. Please let us do ABCD to find the solution. Everyone is politicking. But I want to tell you, these petty mistakes happened in Tunisia. In 2010, we had the Jasmine Revolution. He's called Bozi or somebody. Bozin, this young man, he was an hustler. His cat, the Mkokoteni, was confiscated by one of the police officers. When this young man walked into the local government representative offices, no one dared to listen to him. The young man decided to buy fuel, soak himself in fuel, set himself on fire. Guess what happened to President Ben Ali? He had to leave office because the people decided that he must go. You look at the current economic status, political status, environment thriving in Kenya, compare it to what was happening in Tunisia, it's actually the same. So it actually disturbs a patriotic citizen like myself when call for dialogue is made and people are acting oblivious of the reality, trying to rubbish everything and say that, it is not necessary. I will dwell into that in the subsequent session. But it is very necessary that we have a sit down, we listen to what the opposition is saying. They may not be right. The government may not be right. But when the two come together, they are going to arrive at the right decision that will be for the benefit of the people of Kenya.
One would want to argue that each and every time we are going into elections or after elections, one Raila Odinga would have demands regarding the IEBC, the electoral body. And even before, in the run-up to the general elections in 2022, Raila Odinga is on record, and even Junet Mohammed is on record saying they are very confident that IEBC will conduct a free and fair election, and that There will not be issues of votes being stolen and all that. Begs the question, must Raila Odinga, because it's on record, Raila Odinga and his troops always talk about IEBC. We're not saying the IEBC has done credible elections before. We cannot certify that because there's been the issue of opening the servers, and Raila Odinga, one of the key demands in getting into the mass action is the servers must be opened. But the IEBC did not do that in 2017. They're not willing to do that, and President William Ruto said the servers were opened, which Raila Odinga disputes. Where does the buck stops? Where does the buck stop? Because will it always be an issue of Raila Odinga wanting the IEBC to be reconstituted or the servers to be opened, or what is the bone of contention here? From a Raila Odinga perspective.
From a Raila Odinga perspective, it should worry you as a young Kenyan that why is it that Raila is always demanding that ABCD must be done? Raila is not demanding that the government should pump 15 billion into his pocket. He is saying that IEBC must conduct a free, fair, verifiable presidential election.
Just cut it short. Right. In your opinion, Sankara, sorry, do you think the 2023 general election was free and fair?
No. That was a scam. I don't want to lie to you. I was actively involved in that politics. I can tell you for a fact. Where on earth do we print ballot papers? Then a candidate who has been cleared by IBC to contest walks into a polling station and finds his name missing on the ballot paper. Then you want me to sit down here and tell you, Ian, the election were free, fair, and credible? Never on earth. Over my dead body. Those elections, to me, they did not meet the framework of a free and fair election. There were a lot of nitty-gritties. The loopholes were too many. But that did not overhaul the entire process to state that it was a sham. There are people who won credibly. There are people who won through unclear circumstances that cannot be justified. But the Raila Odinga consistent demand, in 2003, I was barely a toddler who had not even started going to school. I think so. When Baba